We got breaking news in the NFL when it comes to former judge Sue L. Robinson. She has ruled that Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson should be suspended 6 games per multiple reports. That coming down today. No appeal from the NFLPA. NFL can appeal ruling here. This all coming, of course, with Deshaun Watson in camp throughout all this going down with all those allegations towards him since he got traded from Houston, now in Cleveland. The reports coming down that Deshaun Watson expected to be suspended for 6 games in the 2022 season. For more of this breaking news here, Ryan Harris tapping in, and your reaction. Of course, we knew he was going to miss some games the way it seemed coming into this moment, but now that he's going to miss 6, your reaction to this news coming out today?
Well, first and foremost, it's 6 games for breaching the conduct policy, so behaving in a manner that negatively reflects on the NFL. It's going to get sticky here because people are going to want guilt, people are going to want innocence and justice. But if you're a football player on the Browns, your season still has a chance to be special. Now, whether, again, that's just or right or wrong, who knows? But this is what's happening moving forward. And I applaud the NFL and the NFLPA going through a first-time process of where they have a third party independently looking at all of the information. Because in the past, Roger Goodell makes a decision, and then the teams have to appeal to him. But here, players feel like they, at least under this new CBA agreement, have an opportunity to have facts presented and get some leeway in terms of the person making the decision also isn't the commissioner. But this is going to be big because the beginning of the season is nothing like the middle part in the end, which is where they're going to need Deshaun Watson. So for the Cleveland Browns, if you're a player on the roster for the Cleveland Browns, you have a little more hope. And if you're Deshaun Watson, you're thankful you get to play football for the first time in over a year. And I'm not sure what you feel if you're any of the victims who have alleged the actions of Deshaun Watson. I'm sure you wanted more. I'm sure you wanted more of an impact. But this is something that at least you have an answer now here in the beginning of August.
Missing those 6 games, as you look at the schedule right there, his possible return would be Week 7 at the Baltimore Ravens. You talk about hope there with the Browns, knowing that QB1 won't be there. They do have an in-house option that they signed this offseason, Jacoby Brissett. What does this mean for the Browns team? Can they hang on there the first 6 games? How do they look with him at the helm while Watson is out there?
Well, they look like a running team with Jacoby Brissett at the helm. Now, Jacoby Brissett is very capable. His best year was in New England under Josh McDaniels. He threw for over 3,000 yards, but he has an interception issue. He has a bit of a longer throwing motion. His processing has sped up while he's been in the NFL. So if you're Jacoby Brissett, you want to go 5-2 at least to keep your team in the AFC North contention for the title. You want to get some good standing. So you have to win multiple games if you're Jacoby Brissett. And then they also have Josh Dobbs. And Kevin Stefanski, the head coach of the Browns, has said that Josh Dobbs has played very, very well in the spring and into this training camp. And then, of course, they got Josh Rosen. Someday we'll get to 30 for 30 on what happened to Josh Rosen. But Jacoby Brissett, Joshua Dobbs, you got to go at least 5-2 if you want to keep some playoff chances alive for the Browns.
Brian, put this in perspective for us. When you have a guy like Deshaun Watson coming in, he wasn't there last year. You're trying to build chemistry for his new team with some of those wideouts, the backfield you mentioned there. How does that kind of interrupt things in the middle of training camp, knowing that he's not going to be there at least early on in the season?
Well, you treat it like an injury, right? Sometimes you get a player that's going to be gone 4 to 6 weeks because of an injury. But the issue is that you really can't, you don't have any more time for mistakes. It's one thing if Deshaun Watson had been at the Browns for a couple of years, the players knew him, but he's going to jump in Week 7. And typically in the NFL, from my 10-year experience, the game changes every 3 weeks. Something's different. Linebackers are picking up on something. Running backs are changing, things like that. So you want to be able to just run when Deshaun Watson gets back Week 7. That's a big game against the Ravens. And it's also going to be super awkward to go to Houston. I think it's Week 13. That's going to be a strange time. But if you're a player on the Browns roster, you know there's even less room for error in the NFL this season because when Deshaun Watson gets back, there's no way he's going to be in game shape. There's no way he's going to be ready to make excellent plays. And you're going to have even less time to correct the mistakes because you're already heading towards a bye after that first game.
If you're in the fray here, like Kevin Stefanski, he's been answering the questions there about Deshaun Watson. When is he going to be available? How are you approaching this? From a coaching perspective, how is he approaching now knowing that Watson won't be there the first half of the season?
Well, the good thing for the Browns is they've been splitting reps with Jacoby Brissett and Deshaun Watson. They were anticipating, even in training camp, something like this happening. But then now, if you're Kevin Stefanski, you're looking at what does Jacoby Brissett do best? And oh, by the way, let's use our running backs, Nick Chubb and others. So let's get the running game really going. Let's make sure our offensive line is healthy. You might want to give your offensive line a break or two to make sure that they can continue to be fresh for the season. But you want to put Jacoby Brissett in a position for him to excel, make quick decisions, and rely on the run game. And as far as him answering questions, I mean, that's the whole point for this Browns team. My thing has been, you can't run from the questions being asked. The Browns put themselves in this situation by trading for Deshaun Watson. They have to answer the questions as they come. And unfortunately for the players on the roster, this is still a distraction. And hopefully for those who have had the alleged actions of Deshaun Watson, they're getting some peace of mind that justice has been served.
Watson getting that guaranteed $20 to $30 million in that trade coming from Houston to the Browns, and will miss the first 6 games. That ruling coming down here moments ago this morning. As always, Ryan Harris, appreciate you on the breaking news there. Want to take a look at that schedule. As we mentioned, weeks 1 through 6, he will not be available. Suspended the first 6 games. His first game back will be week 7 at the Ravens. Also, one thing to highlight there, as Ryan mentioned, you can circle week 13 as well, returning back to Houston. We know how that kind of went down with the Texans, but we'll see how it ends for the Browns this season, who are a team that wanted to contend, but will be missing QB1 the first 6 games of 2022.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.